Imagine growing up in a world where the warmth of family is just out of reach, where love is something you have to fight for. This is the story of Hunter James, a man shaped by a cold childhood and driven by a deep desire to build the kind of family he never had. But as Hunter's carefully constructed life begins to unravel, he discovers secrets that will push him to the edge. Join us as we dive into a tale of betrayal, revenge, and redemption, where one man's quest for love and loyalty turns his world upside down. Hunter James grew up in a cold, unwelcoming home. His mother, Barbara Lawson, was distant, while his stepfather, Travis James, provided the only warmth in his life. Travis, a kind-hearted trucker, treated Hunter as his own son, despite not being his biological father. Barbara, however, resented Hunter, seeing him as a painful reminder of her past failures. This environment shaped Hunter into a man determined to create a family that would never feel the coldness he experienced as a child. Despite his mother's emotional distance, Hunter found comfort in Travis's guidance. Travis taught him the values of hard work, respect, and love, principles that Hunter held dear. In high school, Hunter met Sierra Miller, whom he believed would help him build the loving family he always craved. They married young after Sierra became pregnant with their daughter, Riley. Hunter joined the Army and then transitioned to a security career, all to provide the best life for his family. But the foundation of love and trust he worked so hard to build wasn't as strong as he had hoped. He never saw himself as extraordinary. His job as a security officer often involved enforcing rules, dealing with unruly individuals, and handling the associated paperwork. Despite the challenges, Hunter found satisfaction in his work and took pride in supporting his family. His wife, Sierra, a beautiful woman with youthful looks, worked at a local bank, eventually becoming a bank manager after attending community college together. They provided a stable life for their daughter, Riley. Hunter and Sierra were both 18 when Riley was born. With help from their families, they managed to care for Riley, eventually moving into their own home. Hunter joined the Army after high school, serving 4 years before landing a security job with an armored truck service. Over time, he worked his way up to become the regional director for a large, world-renowned security company in the Northeast. Meanwhile, Sierra's career at the bank brought additional financial stability to the family. Riley, now 17, was once the center of Hunter's world, but their relationship had grown strained as she got older. Since turning 12, Riley had become increasingly rude to Hunter, a change that deeply hurt him. He chalked it up to typical teenage rebellion, but it felt different. One incident that stood out was when Riley was 12, and Hunter asked her to go to bed. "Why should I?" she responded defiantly. Another time, at 14, she publicly embarrassed him by yelling, "The only embarrassing thing is being around you," when he asked her to change a revealing outfit at a block party. Her sweet 16 was particularly memorable for Hunter. He worked tirelessly, pulling triple shifts and working back-to-back 17-day stretches to save up for a down payment on a used 2014 Chevy Impala for her birthday. Despite all his effort, Riley's reaction was dismissive. "Gee, thanks, I guess, Dad." Hunter was hurt by her ingratitude, and though he managed to hold back his anger, the memory lingered. Later, Riley allowed a boyfriend to drive the car, which ended in a crash that totaled it. Though Hunter was relieved she was unharmed, seeing the wrecked car brought him to tears. Years of his hard work seemed wasted. Hunter often found himself alone in disciplining Riley, as his wife, Sierra, never supported him. She would only intervene to excuse Riley's behavior and criticize Hunter. After a long day of work, Hunter was heading home, but he found some comfort in knowing he had saved up to surprise Sierra with a trip to the Bahamas for their anniversary. They had planned this trip for years but never found the time. Hunter loved his wife deeply and looked forward to surprising her. Driving home in his 2024 Chevrolet Camaro, Hunter reminisced about how he, Sierra, and his friends would debate whether Ford or Dodge was better. Despite the challenges, he loved his wife and daughter and cherished his family. As he approached his house, he reflected on the struggles he'd faced but felt grateful for his family. When he walked in, he saw Riley coming down the stairs in a revealing outfit. Concerned, he asked, "Where are you going dressed like that?" Riley, rolling her eyes, replied, "Going to the movies, and then a house party in Lafayette. I told you." Hunter, ignoring her attitude, responded, "You didn't mention a house party. If you had, I would have said no. And there's no way I'm letting you go out dressed like that. You're grounded." Riley was outraged. "Grounded? For what, my clothes?" Hunter calmly explained, "It's not just the clothes. You're grounded because you're failing math, despite my warnings, and for skipping school to hang out with friends. That's why." Riley's anger boiled over, and she spat. "You pathetic excuse of a man. Mom and I should have left you years ago." Without thinking, Hunter backhanded Riley, sending her onto the couch. Shocked by his own action, he stared at her with cold intensity. He then spoke firmly. "If you live under my roof, you follow my rules. I won't tolerate disrespect in my home. Do you understand?" Terrified, Riley nodded. "Yes, sir." "Good. You're grounded for 3 weeks. Now go to your room." Afterward, Hunter went to the fridge for a beer, bracing himself for the argument he knew would come with Sierra. After finishing his drink, he knocked on Riley's door. Hearing her small voice, he entered and saw she had been crying. Despite everything, she was still his daughter, and he loved her. "Honey, I'm sorry I slapped you. It shouldn't have happened, but when you called me a loser, something in me snapped. I love you, but I won't be disrespected in my own home. If something is bothering you, we need to talk about it. I'll always love you." Riley, though still upset, didn't respond. Hunter kissed her forehead and left the room. An hour later, Sierra sped into the driveway, furious. The moment she walked in, she demanded, "Who the hell do you think you are, slapping our baby like that, Hunter?" Hunter remained calm but firm. "Good evening, honey. Welcome home. How was work today? I ask because you skipped greeting me, as you often do lately. To answer your question, I'm her father, and while I love our daughter, I won't tolerate disrespect in the home I provide for our family." Sierra's eyes narrowed, irritated by Hunter's firm stance. She took a breath and asked, "Riley called me at work and said you slapped her. Is that true?" Hunter read her expression before replying, "Yes, I did. I slapped her, hard enough that she landed on the couch. She needed to understand that her behavior is unacceptable." Sierra was shocked, covering her mouth in disbelief. "So you're just going to slap our daughter around when she talks back?" Hunter's anger grew, though he remained calm. "No, but I will discipline her when she disrespects us." "Did she tell you why I slapped her, or did you just take her word for it?" Sierra looked down, unable to respond. Hunter continued, "She was dressed inappropriately for a party she never mentioned, and has been skipping school all week. Did you know that? The principal called me today, but you didn't check the missed calls or texts, did you?" Sierra admitted quietly, "No, I didn't." "At least you admitted that. But that's not why I slapped her. I did it because she called me a stupid, pathetic excuse of a man, and said you both should have left me years ago." Sierra was stunned. "She said that to you?" "Yes, our daughter said that, to my face. This isn't the first time she's disrespected me, and you've always been there to shield her from the consequences. I'm not perfect, but I work hard for this family. I wake up at 4 a.m., work 60 hours a week, and handle endless complaints, contracts, and clients. Yet I still make time for every school event, every game, and I help with her homework. But when I discipline her for crossing a line, I'm the bad guy." Sierra was speechless, seeing the pain and anger in Hunter's eyes as he spoke. He took a deep breath and said, "I'm going for a drive. I need to clear my head." He left, leaving Sierra stunned in the living room. Hunter drove aimlessly, needing to escape. He felt like an ATM, a doormat to his family, wondering how things had gone so wrong. Suddenly, his phone rang. Expecting it to be Sierra or Riley, he saw it was his mother. He answered, only to be met with her angry voice. "What in the hell is wrong with you?" "Hi, Mom." "Don't, hi, Mom, me. Sierra and Riley just called. They said you struck Riley and cursed out Sierra. Have you lost your mind?" "No, Mom, just my patience." With that, Hunter hung up. He loved his mother, to a point, but their relationship was strained. Barbara Lawson had always been cold, never showing him love or compassion. His father had abandoned them when Hunter was born, and Barbara made it clear that she believed Hunter was no good, just like his father. There was no nurturing bond between them, and she never hesitated to remind him of her low opinion of him. Hunter's life changed when his mother met Travis James when Hunter was 1. Travis was a beacon of love for both Hunter and Barbara. Travis treated Hunter as his own, teaching him life lessons and even defending him when Barbara was too harsh. Although Barbara never showed Hunter much love, the abuse eventually stopped, and they merely tolerated each other. Travis loved Hunter so much that Hunter took his last name after Barbara and Travis married. They had a son, Austin, who became the golden child in Barbara's eyes. Austin often used Hunter to get out of trouble and took everything from him: friends, allowance, affection. Only Travis treated both boys equally, loving and disciplining them fairly. Hunter eventually grew distant, speaking mainly to Travis. When Hunter's daughter, Riley, was born, Travis was the only family member who supported both Hunter and Sierra. Austin even tried to flirt with Sierra when Hunter wasn't around, but Travis put a stop to it until his end of life. Travis surprised everyone, splitting $500,000 equally between Hunter and Austin when they turned 24. Austin resented Hunter for this, feeling entitled to the entire fortune because he was the biological son. Hunter used his share to buy a house for his family after leaving the military. Returning to the present, Hunter knew he had to go home. After watching the sunset at an old drive-in, he headed back. When he arrived, Sierra was waiting. She apologized for not considering his feelings about Riley and admitted she often sided with their daughter, making Hunter look like the bad guy. Hunter smiled. "That's all I ask, honey. I love you and Riley. You are my world. Just have my back and give me the respect I give you." "I love you too, Hunter." They kissed, and Hunter pulled out 2 first-class tickets to the Bahamas, revealing his surprise anniversary trip. Overjoyed, Sierra jumped into his arms, kissing him non-stop. In the days that followed, things improved in the James household. Sierra stopped undermining Hunter and respected his role as the head of the family. Although Riley still wasn't speaking much to Hunter, her attitude improved. She stopped skipping school, and her grades began to recover. Even Hunter's mother eased up on her nagging calls. Hunter noticed his brother, Austin, visiting more often, which seemed to lift Riley's spirits. But otherwise, things were going well. One day, while cleaning the house before their trip, Hunter and Sierra were organizing the garage and attic. Riley was upset about being left out of the trip but kept her feelings to herself after their recent conflict. Hunter, working in the attic, came across old photo albums, sparking nostalgia as he looked through childhood photos, wedding pictures, and memories of Riley growing up. Just as he was about to put the photos away, he found a plastic bag containing a bundle of letters and a large brown envelope. As he read the contents, his heart sank, and his world shattered. The letter Hunter found shattered him. "My dearest love, Austin. Last night was magical. I've never felt anything like it. Your touch is like an artist creating a masterpiece. Nothing compared to Hunter. I just want you in my arms. Yours always, Sierra." Hunter was devastated, realizing Sierra loved Austin. "I've been married to her for over 20 years, and she does this to me?" he whispered, his world crumbling. He found more letters from Austin, expressing love for Sierra and hinting at their affair, even mentioning that Riley had Sierra's eyes. Then Hunter discovered a DNA test, proving Riley wasn't his biological daughter. He felt betrayed and numb, wondering if his entire family knew the truth. He decided he needed proof. He took a hair sample from Riley's comb for a DNA test, determined to uncover the full truth. He gathered himself, suppressing his rage, and planned his next steps. When he left the attic, he ran into Sierra, who asked where he was going. Hunter controlled his anger and calmly lied, saying he needed supplies for the attic and would pick up dinner. Once out of the house, Hunter called Matthew Drake, a trusted private investigator who worked for his company. Matthew was a former police officer who had left the force after a near-fatal ambush, dedicating his skills to private investigations instead. When Hunter arrived at the office, Matthew immediately sensed something was wrong. Hunter broke down, explaining everything. Matthew, who had a personal connection to a similar situation, was furious. He remembered a friend who had discovered his daughter wasn't his and lost everything in the fallout, leading to a tragic courtroom incident. Seeing Hunter in such pain brought back those memories, and Matthew took the situation personally, determined to help Hunter get to the bottom of it. Hunter, wiping his tears, stood up. "First, I need to confirm if Riley is my daughter." He pulled out a bag with her hair. "Depending on the results, we'll decide what to do next. Second, I want to destroy them. Not illegally, but in a way that makes them feel the pain and humiliation I'm experiencing." Matthew smiled. "Let's get to work." He showed Hunter a room full of surveillance equipment. "This is all legal as long as it's used on your property or devices in your name. I'll need your permission to install everything." Hunter agreed, signing the paperwork. "I'll get the cameras in place when no one else is home. You don't need to know where they are. Just trust me, they'll capture everything." "I respect what you do, Hunter, and I understand your pain." Feeling supported, Hunter nodded. Matthew also gave him the address of a DNA testing lab nearby, suggesting he could drop off the sample that day. Determined, Hunter agreed. "Let's get this started." After leaving Matthew's office, Hunter called his lawyer and best friend, Cameron Daniels. "Cameron, I need to see you. Something serious has happened. Meet me at my office in an hour." "On my way," Cameron replied. When Hunter arrived, Cameron was shocked by his friend's appearance. "What happened, Hunter? Is Sierra okay? Is Riley okay?" Hunter broke down, recounting the day's events. Cameron was furious on Hunter's behalf. "They won't get away with this. Legally, you can monitor anything on your property or devices in your name. We'll access any deleted files and use everything you've gathered. The law is on your side if we prove infidelity, especially with the new state laws protecting the assets of the cheated party." Seeing his friend's despair, Cameron added, "I can't imagine what you're going through, but you need to protect yourself now." Hunter, heartbroken, said, "I loved her for over 17 years, and now it all means nothing. My own daughter, who might not even be mine, despises me, and my wife cheated with my brother, who hates me just for existing." Cameron, moved by Hunter's pain, assured him, "We'll set things right. You stood by me when I needed help, and I'll do the same for you." The two friends embraced. As Hunter drove home with the supplies, he reflected on the betrayal and pain he endured that day. He was determined to keep his knowledge of the affair hidden until he had all the facts. The thought of Riley not being his daughter tormented him, but he braced himself for the DNA results, dreading what they might reveal. When Hunter arrived home, everything seemed normal. Despite his contempt, he kissed his wife to avoid raising suspicion. They finished cleaning the house and had dinner together, but Hunter felt like he was living in a sitcom, surrounded by actors instead of his real family. Later that night, after everyone was asleep, Hunter installed the hacking equipment on Sierra's and Riley's phones, following Matthew's instructions. He texted Matthew to confirm it was done, and within minutes, Matthew responded, indicating the hacking had begun. By the end of the week, Hunter would have the information he needed, whether he wanted it or not. The next day, after Riley went to school and Sierra to work, Hunter decided he needed a new outlet. He couldn't just sit around feeling broken. Remembering his childhood love of comic books, he searched for a comic book shop and found one called The Comic Book. Stepping inside, memories of his childhood flooded back, days spent with a friend, escaping life's troubles through comics and anime. That friend, however, had been lost to him for years, bringing a wave of sadness. At the cashier, Hunter was stunned to see someone he never expected, Ruby. Her eyes widened with recognition, and she greeted him with a huge smile. "Hunter. It's been ages." She hugged him tightly. It was the first time Hunter had genuinely smiled since his ordeal began. Ruby had come into Hunter's life when he was a child. During the tough time on Parents' Day, when his mother dismissed him harshly, he had run off to cry under a tree. Ruby, a girl with red hair and blue eyes, approached him, offering kindness and inviting him to join her family's picnic. That simple gesture sparked a deep friendship that grew into love. By the time they were in high school, however, Hunter's brother, Austin, who had a history of taking things from Hunter, wanted Ruby for himself. When she rejected Austin's advances and defended herself against him, It led to a series of events that forced Ruby and her family to move away to avoid legal trouble. Ruby had apologized for the chaos, but Hunter had reassured her that she had done nothing wrong, blaming himself instead. In the park where they first met, they had held each other, expressing their love even though life had torn them apart. Seeing Ruby again brought back all those memories for Hunter, reminding him of a simpler, happier time. Hunter and Ruby had always planned to wait until they were 18, at prom, for their first time together, to make it special. Over the years, their love and friendship grew stronger, but when the day of Ruby's move came, it felt like a part of them died. Hunter, driven by Travis, gave Ruby one last hug before watching her leave, knowing they might never see each other again. As the years passed, Hunter met and married Sierra, building a family with her. Now, after all these years, he found himself reunited with Ruby. "Hunter, I can't believe it's been so long," Ruby said, tears in her eyes. Despite the years, she had grown into a beautiful woman, looking youthful at 33. With her short red hair, blue eyes, and delicate tattoos, she still carried the charm that had captivated Hunter. "Ruby, you look amazing," Hunter replied, making her blush. They decided to catch up during Ruby's break, heading to a cozy break room in the comic shop she owned. Hunter was surprised and impressed. "You own this place? How did that happen?" Ruby explained that after her parents died in a car accident, she discovered they had a life insurance policy and a trust from her grandparents, totaling $2 million. With her love for comics and a business background, she returned to town, bought the property, and turned it into her dream comic shop, living on the top floor. Hunter was proud of her success. "You deserve this, Ruby. I bet your guy is the luckiest in the world." Ruby's smile faded. "He's out of the picture. I caught him cheating, and he even had the nerve to be angry when I interrupted him. Thankfully, we didn't have kids, and I got out before things got worse." Hunter, relating to her pain, shared what had happened to him recently. Ruby hugged him tightly. "I'm here for you, whatever happens." Hunter felt a warmth he hadn't experienced in a long time. As they parted, Ruby invited him to visit again. "I'd like that," Hunter said before driving off. On his way home, Hunter received a text from Matthew. "Meet me at Cameron's." Hunter knew what this meant, and despite dreading what was to come, he headed there. Upon arrival, Cameron's wife, Laura, greeted him warmly. "Hunter, I'm so sorry about everything. We're here for you, no matter what." Hunter hugged Laura and thanked her before heading into the office, where Matthew and Cameron awaited him with grim expressions. Matthew began, "Hunter, I'm sorry, but it's bad. We found more texts and videos. They've been having an on and off affair since Riley was born. And there's more, the DNA test confirmed you're not Riley's father." Hunter, overwhelmed with pain and humiliation, broke down. Matthew offered him a sip from his flask to steady him, then continued. "We also discovered that your mother and Riley knew about the affair since Riley was 12, around the time you noticed a change." Hunter's heart broke as he read the documents, chats between Riley and his mother, expressing their hatred for him, their enjoyment of living off him, and plans to divorce him after Riley graduated. They even discussed moving Austin into the house Hunter paid for, and how his mother wished he had died instead of Travis. In shock, Hunter muttered, "How could my own family hate me so much?" Cameron and Laura offered comfort, with Laura reminding him, "Family isn't about blood, it's about actions. You saved Charles and me years ago, and you've been our family ever since. We love you, and we'll always be here for you." Hunter, resolute, told Cameron, "We go scorched earth." Cameron nodded. "How do you want the paperwork sent?" "I'll deliver it to Sierra myself," Hunter decided. "She's expecting a surprise, and she'll get one when she and Riley come home. I used to love my daughter, but now I can't even stand to hear her name." Cameron agreed, asking about Austin. "I want him to get some bad news while he's at work." Hunter replied, and Cameron smiled at the plan. "Consider it done." Hunter then added, "I want something special for my mother. I'll deliver the divorce papers myself, during Riley's party, in front of everyone." I want them all to see that Austin isn't the golden child they thought he was." Cameron, initially surprised, supported the idea. "I'm on board." Hunter maintained his composure, planning to keep up appearances until their anniversary trip. "I'll confront Sierra then, and decide what to do after." Everyone agreed, and Laura reminded him, "We love you, and are here for you." On the day of the trip, Hunter maintained the facade. The night before, Sierra initiated closeness, and Hunter responded with aggression, treating her without affection. Afterward, Sierra, satisfied but shocked, asked, "What's gotten into you?" Hunter coldly replied, "Just something I needed to get out of my system." As they prepared to leave, Austin and their mother, Janice, arrived. Austin smirked, making a comment about Riley that nearly drove Hunter to violence, especially when Austin hugged Sierra inappropriately. Hunter restrained himself, knowing he needed to keep the element of surprise. He avoided his mother, knowing any interaction might raise suspicion. After loading the Camaro, they headed to the airport. As Hunter gazed out at the islands below, hearing the captain announce their landing, he thought about how he would confront Sierra and whether she would be honest with him. He planned to maintain the facade of a loving husband until then, hoping she would at least tell him the truth. The resort, called the Hidden Treasure, was stunning, with beautiful views, luxurious amenities, and perfect settings for couples. Knowing this trip marked the end of his marriage, Hunter decided to make the most of it. He and Sierra enjoyed their time, exploring trails, beaches, and nightclubs. On the second night, Sierra seemed happier than ever, and though Hunter didn't love her anymore, he decided to be with her one last time. He used her for his own pleasure, feeling nothing, and resolved that it would be the last time. The next morning, Hunter woke up and gently nudged Sierra awake. They cleaned up and went to breakfast. As they ate, Sierra said, "Hunter, this trip has been amazing. I love you, and when we get home, things will be different." Hunter calmly responded, "Sierra, on that, we agree." He then pulled a bundle from a Ziploc bag and placed it on the table. Sierra's face turned white. "Where did you find these?" "In the attic, the day after you said you loved me." Hunter replied. Sierra, realizing her nearly 20-year marriage was falling apart, began to cry. I can explain. It was a mistake." Hunter laughed bitterly. "A mistake? Forgetting something at home is a mistake. Cheating, and having your husband raise another man's child, is a choice. At least own up to it." Through her tears, Sierra explained, "It started a year after we began dating. We had an argument, and I was upset. Austin came over, comforted me, and we ended up sleeping together. It was supposed to be just once, but it continued, on and off, for years. I never meant to hurt you, Hunter. I love you." "No, don't say that. You lost the right to use that word with me. Love requires loyalty and respect, which you clearly lack." Sierra cried harder, knowing she deserved his anger. Hunter continued, his voice harsh. "I saw the DNA test. I know Riley isn't mine." Sierra gasped, and Hunter continued. "So not only did you betray me with my brother, but you made me raise his child, who treated me like dirt. Who is her father?" Hunter already knew the answer but wanted to see if Sierra had any dignity left to be honest with him. Despite everything, a part of him still loved her, but he couldn't stay in a marriage built on lies. "What is his name, Sierra?" Hunter asked, his voice cold and demanding. Sierra hesitated before replying. "I can't tell you. I'm sorry." Hunter didn't respond, he just stared at her with a blank expression. He put money down for their drinks, canceled the meal, and walked away without a word. Sierra ran after him, but he ignored her. Back at the hotel, Hunter started packing, not speaking to her, realizing he was done with her. Sierra packed as well. Hunter caught an earlier flight, leaving Sierra to arrive home 2 hours later. When Hunter got home, he found Austin waiting, wearing a smug grin. Before Austin could speak, Hunter confronted him. "I know everything about you and Sierra. Get out of my house, before I smash your face into my coffee table." Terrified, Austin left immediately. Hunter then moved his belongings from the master bedroom to the basement, which he had previously set up as a guest apartment. Sierra watched, realizing, too late, that her actions had likely ended their marriage. The next day, Hunter met with Matthew, Cameron, and Laura to discuss the trip and his next steps. He instructed them to prepare everything for Riley's 18th birthday party at the Majestic View Resort. Matthew would serve as Hunter's personal security that night. Matthew revealed more dirt on Austin, including sexual harassment claims and shady business practices. He assured Hunter that the women were ready to testify against Austin. Impressed, Hunter suggested a promotion for Matthew, which brought some lightness to the meeting. But as Hunter left, his resolve hardened. He was done shedding tears. Now, he had a purpose. Knowing Riley was out with his mother and Austin, Hunter waited for their return, sitting in the living room with a glass of brandy. When Riley arrived, she sneered. "Finally, I can leave this dump." Sierra tried to correct her. "That loser loves you and raised you. Show some respect." Riley rolled her eyes and replied, "Oh, please. You've been with my real dad since I was born. It's too late for respect. That loser kept me from Ronnie, and I hate him for it." From the shadows, Hunter spoke up. "Riley? Why don't you tell me how you really feel?" Both women froze in terror as they realized Hunter had heard everything. Riley shrank, realizing her cruel words had been overheard by the very man she had just insulted. "Hunter, it's not what you think." Sierra tried to explain. "She just misspoke." "No, she said exactly what she meant." Hunter replied, stepping closer. The women huddled together as he continued, his voice like ice. "I know everything, Sierra. I know Riley isn't my daughter, but Austin's. I know my mother knew about the affair since Riley was 12. You told Riley I was having an affair, and that Austin was comforting you. All to cover up your own shame." Hunter turned to Riley. "Riley, I don't know what I did to make you hate me. I loved you with all my heart. I was there for you. When Tommy broke up with you, when you were sick, when you started school. I promised to protect you and show you love, unlike what I experienced from my mother." Riley began to cry as he continued. "When you were in that car accident, all I cared about was getting to you, hoping you weren't hurt." Hunter then looked at Sierra. "And you, my love, did you and Austin laugh every time you took him to our bed?" Sierra went pale. "Before you ask, I have video evidence," Hunter said, turning on the TV to show footage of Sierra and Austin together in their marital bed. "You spied on me?" Sierra asked, irritated. "Are you seriously upset that I recorded you cheating in our bed?" Hunter shot back. Sierra stammered. "I can explain. We can work through this." "Oh, God, no." Hunter cut her off. "This wasn't a mistake, Sierra. It was a choice. Over and over again, you slept with my brother, had his child, and made me raise her as mine." Riley flinched at Hunter's cold words. Hunter finished his drink, washed the glass, and reflected on how his marriage was circling the drain. As he put on his jacket and headed for the door, Sierra yelled, "Where are you going? We need to talk. This is a family." Hunter scoffed. "What family? Did you not hear what I just said? I'm leaving because I can't stand the sight of either of you." He slammed the door and drove off, needing to escape. It was 10 p.m. He didn't want to go to a bar, he wanted to be with a friend. He knew just where to go. Ruby was at home with her 2 new German Shepherd puppies, Lady and Gunter. She had always wanted to be a mother, but bad relationships had left her alone. These puppies were now her companions. When she heard her buzzer, she saw Hunter on the door camera and let him in. When Hunter arrived, he was heartbroken. Without saying a word, he held on to Ruby and cried, finally releasing all the pain and anguish he had been holding in. His family's betrayal, the discovery of the affair, and the heartbreak of it all. Ruby comforted Hunter as she had done years ago, holding him as he cried without any shame. She gently stroked his head and whispered, "It's okay, honey. I'm here." When he finished, Hunter shared what had happened. "I feel like a joke, like I've been hit by a car, and everyone is laughing. Especially the people who were supposed to be my family." Ruby, having been through her own heartbreak, understood his pain. "Look at me, Hunter. she said softly. Hunter looked up, tears in his eyes. No matter what, I'm here for you, just like before. Hunter managed a smile. Good seeing you again, partner. Ruby smiled back. Yeah, it is, partner. I have a guest room ready for you. You should get some rest. I doubt your wife will mind, given the situation. Hunter chuckled. No, she won't. Before heading to bed, Hunter hugged Ruby. Thank you, Ruby, for everything. Ruby smiled and kissed his cheek. You do the same for me. Good night, Hunter. Good night, Ruby. Hunter replied as they both went to their rooms, old feelings starting to resurface. The next morning, Hunter woke to the smell of bacon and eggs. Entering the living room, he saw Ruby cooking, her 2 puppies by her side. Good morning, handsome. Hope you don't mind spam, onions, and cheese in your eggs. Got bacon and toast, too. She said warmly. Sounds perfect. They say hunger is the best spice. Hunter replied, grateful his old girlfriend still knew her way around the kitchen. Ruby playfully tossed a dish rag at him. Doubting my skills, sir? Not at all, madam. Hunter responded, both of them laughing as they enjoyed breakfast. What are you going to do now? Ruby asked. Hunter thought for a moment. At first, I thought we could work it out, but after seeing those letters, chats, and videos, no, there's no fixing this. I moved my things to the basement, but eventually I want them out of my house. Riley's 18 now, so she's not my responsibility. I'm planning to sue Austin for child support and alienation of affection. And I have something in mind for my mother, too. Ruby nodded, understanding his determination. I want to be there for you, like we used to be. Hunter replied, both feeling the tension between them. Hunter's phone rang. It was Riley. Reluctantly, he answered. What do you want? Dad, I'm sorry about everything. You weren't supposed to find out like this. Riley said, her voice shaking. First of all, I'm not your father, so don't call me that. And how exactly was I supposed to find out? Hunter responded bitterly. Riley hesitated, then asked. Well, as you know, I want to go to college. How are you going to handle the payments? School is expensive. Hunter was stunned by her entitlement. Ruby waved her hand in front of his face to snap him out of it. Slowly, Hunter responded. Let me get this straight. After you and your mother show me how unappreciated I am, and reveal that I've been raising another man's child, a child who hates me, you have the nerve to ask me to pay for your college. Riley, unfazed, replied, just do it already. You're legally my dad, so you're obligated to help me. Screw you. Hunter snapped. You're an adult now, and I'm not obligated to do anything. If you want to go to college, ask your real dad to pay for it. Don't ever contact me again. He hung up and blocked her number. Turning to Ruby, Hunter said, I need to get things started. I think. Neither Hunter nor Ruby could deny the feelings between them. Their eyes met, filled with desire, and soon they were kissing, genuine, passionate, and full of love. Suddenly, Hunter pulled back, stopping the kiss. Ruby, I'm sorry. You're hurting, and I took advantage. I should have. Hunter gently placed a finger on her lips. You have nothing to apologize for, Hunter. It's clear our feelings never really went away, just took a long nap. Ruby, I love you. I never stopped. And I never stopped loving you, Hunter, from the day we parted until now. Ruby confessed, her voice filled with emotion. She brushed her hair aside and wiped away a tear. But I respect you, Hunter, and your vows. You need to give Sierra those divorce papers first. That happens tonight. If you want us to be together, please respect my wish to stay faithful until this is over. If that's too much, I understand. Ruby kissed his cheek. I've waited over 17 years. I can wait a little longer. They hugged, and for the first time in a while, Hunter felt hope. He left, showered, and prepared for Riley's birthday party at the hotel. As he dressed, he realized there was no point in dwelling on the past, he could only move forward. When he arrived home, workers were preparing for the party. Oh, great. Riley's birthday, just what I needed, he thought. His phone rang, and seeing the caller ID, Hunter sneered. He thought about ignoring it but remembered his phone was tapped for evidence. You piece of crap, what have you done? Austin's voice screamed through the phone. Hello, Austin? What are you talking about? Hunter played dumb. Don't play dumb. I got called into HR today. OSHA and the Department of Labor were there, with my supervisor. 3 women filed complaints against me, and this time, it stuck. I'm suspended. This isn't supposed to happen. Austin ranted. Hunter's voice turned cold. If by fun you mean harassing them, then this is exactly what should happen. Austin paused, realizing he had revealed too much. His tone became venomous. Who the hell do you think you are? I'm your brother. I'm the guy whose wife you screwed. How could you do that to me? You've hated me my whole life. Why? Austin continued, coldly. You were born, and Dad loved you, even though you weren't his. That time with him should have been mine. You were perfect, good grades, friends. I was just your little brother. So, when I had the chance to take Sierra, I did. I made her feel alive while you were focused on your own life. We had sex while you were in boot camp, and I laughed at turning you into a loser. His voice was filled with arrogance. I don't know how you messed with my job, but if I get fired, I'll liquidate you. Understand? Hunter smiled, grateful for the recorded evidence. I hear you loud and clear, Austin. Austin tried to regain control. Good. Now, you'll go to the party with Sierra and Riley. You'll play the happy husband and keep up appearances. Do we understand each other? Crystal. Hunter replied calmly. Austin hung up, thinking he'd intimidated his brother. But Hunter laughed, knowing Austin had just handed him enough evidence to press serious charges, including parental fraud and alienation of affection. Initially, Hunter planned to skip the party. But now, he saw an opportunity. Time to show the world my loving and caring family, he thought with a smile. Hunter arrived at the hotel in his freshly polished Camaro, handing the keys to a valet who admired the car. Careful with the drool, I just had it waxed. Hunter jokes. The valet, embarrassed, started to apologize, but Hunter gave him a $100 tip. It is a nice car. Thanks for appreciating it. Can you park it close to the exit? I don't think I'll be staying long. The young valet smiled and agreed to Hunter's request. It is a nice car. Thanks for appreciating it. Can you park it close to the exit? I don't think I'll be staying long. The young valet smiled and agreed to Hunter's request. Inside, Hunter found the ballroom to be extravagant, with a beautiful sculpture in the center and a bar nearby. Waiters served drinks to those over 21, identified by purple bracelets, while a DJ played music for the dancing crowd. Hunter had to admit it was an impressive setup. He soon spotted his lawyer, Cameron, and his pie, Matthew. Matthew blended in by wearing maintenance clothes, while Cameron was dressed in a sharp suit. Hunter briefed them on the situation and instructed them to set up the equipment. If anyone asks, you're just part of the staff, he said. Guests began to arrive, including Sierra, Riley, and his mother, Janice. Janice, always vain, looked as polished as ever, but her character remained rotten. When she saw Hunter, she sneered. So you finally came to your senses and showed up for Riley's special day. At least you did something right. Hunter ignored her and mingled with the other guests, which included Riley's friends, her boyfriend, relatives, and even his grandfather, Maxwell Walker. Maxwell, though in his 80s, still commanded respect, especially from Janice, who was on her best behavior around him. The party went smoothly, with dancing, drinks, and lively conversation. When it was time for birthday speeches, Austin arrived just in time, smirking at Hunter as he passed by. Sierra avoided Hunter, clearly ashamed, while his mother looked at him with disdain, as usual. As Riley began her speech, she glanced at Hunter with clear disdain. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming. Applause followed, and Hunter took a sip of his drink. Matthew leaned in and whispered. Everything's ready. Nice move, making this an 18 and up party. Hunter smiled. Yeah, it was. Riley continued, her smile turning cruel. Family isn't just about blood. My own dad, for example, doesn't want to support my dream of becoming a nurse. He's punishing me for his argument with my mom. What kind of father does that? The mood turned tense as judgmental stares focused on Hunter. But Hunter remained calm. Then he began to clap slowly as he walked to the center of the room. Brilliant, my daughter. Everyone, that's rich, he said sarcastically. The room fell silent, all eyes on Hunter. I traveled 1,500 miles to see my daughter born. From that moment, I vowed there was nothing I wouldn't do for her. She was my heart, my sun, and my moon. But somewhere along the way, something changed. Hunter then revealed a remote and played a projector, displaying messages that exposed Riley's knowledge that Hunter wasn't her father, her manipulation, and her role in hiding her mother's affair with Austin. The screen showed how she called Austin Daddy and mocked Hunter behind his back. Riley was horrified. And now, Hunter continued. Let's talk about my wife. I have loved her since high school, and gave her everything, but while I was serving our country, she was having an affair with my brother. Hunter played a video showing his wife and brother having sex in their marital bed, with Austin mocking him during the act. He also displayed chat logs and videos revealing their plans to drain his funds and kick him out of his own home through divorce. They openly professed their love for each other, treating Hunter as a mere inconvenience. Sierra screamed in shock and shame when she saw the evidence. Hunter walked over to her and handed her a vanilla envelope. I want a divorce, Sierra, he said coldly. I sold the house, too. It's in my name, and since we're in an at-fault state, you have no say. The locks have been changed, and you have until the end of the week to collect your things. I'm being more generous than you deserve. You can keep your 401k, and we'll split the marital assets. I sold the house for $2 million, so you have some money for groceries and gas. I want nothing to do with a place filled with lies, and I want nothing to do with you. What you did was selfish and cruel. You let my brother screw you and had me raise his daughter, who took joy in being cruel to me. Hunter's voice hardened. If you fight me, I'll destroy you, with the evidence I've shown and more that I haven't. You'll lose everything, and Austin will have to sell you off to make rent. Maybe your daughter can wash dishes while you sell yourself to get by, you promiscuous. Sierra fled the ballroom in embarrassment, with her daughter following. Hunter continued to address the stunned crowd. Now, let's talk about my blood-related family, he said. Riley was right. Blood doesn't make you family. Meet my brother, Austin. Besides being a wife-stealing dirtbag. Hunter paused for effect. Let's start from the beginning. I'm a year older than Austin. I was raised by a man named Travis James. Photos of Travis filled the screen. He's the only one in my family who truly loved me. My biological father left before I was born. Travis raised me as his own, and I'm who I am today because of him. Then Austin was born. I don't know why he hated me so much, or why he betrayed me by having me raise his child, but I'll let him explain. Hunter then played the recording of his earlier conversation with Austin, revealing Austin's jealousy, his wish for Hunter's death, and his belief that Hunter had no right to their father's love or money. Austin even threatened to eliminate Hunter. Hunter turned to his brother. You don't need to worry about being my brother anymore, because as far as I'm concerned, you were dead to me the moment I found out you were screwing my wife. Austin lunged at Hunter, but Hunter ducked and knocked him down with a strong punch to the ribs, causing Austin to collapse. Matthew, acting as security, quickly handcuffed Austin. You're being detained until the police arrive, for both your safety and mine, Matthew said. Austin groaned in pain, struggling to stay conscious. Hunter handed him an envelope. You've been served, prick. Austin glared at Hunter with pure hatred as Hunter walked back to the center of the room. He then turned his attention to his mother. And now, my mother. Let's just call her Janice, because, boy, does she hate me. She knew about the affair and was perfectly fine with me being betrayed by her favored son. He displayed images of Janice's chats and videos openly supporting Austin and Sierra's affair, along with conversations where she and Riley criticized Hunter. The crowd's disdain for the family grew even stronger, but Hunter wasn't done. He pulled out a brown leather diary. Janice's face went pale. Mom kept a diary since I was born. According to her, my father was a selfish dirtbag who ran when he found out she was pregnant. But that's not entirely true. Hunter continued. I did some digging and found out my real father was Alan Taylor. Alan and Janice met in high school, and during their senior year, Janice decided she wanted kids. Alan, however, made it clear he wasn't ready and always insisted on using protection, even asking Janice to be on the pill. But Janice lied, telling Alan she was on the pill. Because he trusted her, they were planning to get married, until she got pregnant. Janice was thrilled, thinking she'd finally have her happy family. But Alan's powerful parents didn't like the idea of their son being trapped. They hired top lawyers to tell her she could keep the baby, but she'd be raising it alone. Hunter paused, observing the crowd's reaction, then continued. Alan signed away his parental rights, shattering Janice's dream of a perfect family. From that moment, she truly hated me, even before I was born. She wanted to get rid of me, but my wealthy grandfather stepped in and threatened to disinherit her. So she had me, though she didn't even want to hold me after I was born. And here's the kicker. Janice had a neighborhood friend who would visit when Dad wasn't home. Yes, she cheated on him. Hunter continued, his voice shaking slightly. One day, I saw her friend. Let's call him Ricky. Ricky liked hanging out with me, particularly when Mom or Dad wasn't in the room. Ricky came into my room when I was asleep. Anyway, I woke up to see Ricky with his hand, touching me in ways no child should be touched. The crowd gasped, but Hunter continued, his voice steady now. When I told my mom about it, she slapped me and threatened to send me away where no one, not even Travis, could find me. She accused me of lying. I always thought mothers were supposed to protect their kids, but I got the opposite. People in the audience began to cry, and Hunter shed a few tears himself. Now you're probably wondering, why should you believe me? Watch the screen. The screen showed videos and recordings backing up Hunter's story, his father's account, Janice's own words expressing her regret and hatred, and diary pages confirming everything. The crowd grew somber. Some cried for what Hunter had endured, while others looked on with disdain for his family. Hunter approached his mother. I had no choice in being born, and the only real family I had wasn't even related by blood. But I want you out of my life, for good. No more calls, no more texts. And when you take your last breath, I want you to know, you'll die alone. If you weren't so full of hate, you could have been surrounded by love and people who cared. But now, the only ones around will be those waiting to take your body away. Janice was speechless. Hunter placed the microphone on its stand and addressed the crowd one last time. Thanks for coming, everyone. Have a good night. As the police arrived to take Austin away, Hunter turned to Sierra and Riley. We have nothing left to discuss. We are no longer family, in any sense of the word. If you have any questions, talk to my lawyer. I want you both out of my house, and take that mother-in-law of yours with you. Janice, regaining her composure, tried to insult him. You sorry excuse for a man. The moment you walk out of here, you're no son of mine. Hunter looked at her with a cold expression and said, I gladly take that role. Then he turned and flipped her off. Hunter thanked Matthew with a hug and a handshake. Thanks for everything. Matthew smiled. If I could get some PTO out of this, I'd appreciate it. Hunter grinned. Consider your 2 weeks vacation approved. Just let us know when you want to use it. Matthew nodded, then asked, Are you going to be all right? Something tells me you don't want to be around here. Do you have somewhere to go? Hunter nodded. Yeah, I've got a place. Later that night, Ruby awoke to the buzz of her apartment door. Seeing it was Hunter, she let him in without a word. They embraced and kissed with a passion they hadn't felt in years. They made love for the rest of the night. The next morning, Hunter woke up with Ruby lying on his chest. When she woke up, she smiled and kissed him. Good morning, sleepyhead. Good morning, beautiful. Hunter replied as she lay on his chest. How did last night go? Ruby asked. Hunter sighed. It felt like watching a beautiful lie die. But for once, the truth is actually better than the lie could ever be. Ruby kissed him gently. I love you, Hunter. I never want to lose you again. I'll fight to keep that from happening. Hunter held her close. I feel the same way. But I have a bit of a problem. Ruby looked concerned. What is it? Hunter sighed. I sold my house and found myself homeless. Could I stay here for a while? It won't be long, I promise. I just need to. Before he could finish, she kissed him repeatedly. Stay as long as you want. You don't even have to ask. They laughed together, their passion for each other growing as they spent the day making love. As the week went by, Hunter started his new life. He moved his belongings from the house the next day, leaving Sierra's and Riley's things in a storage container in front of the house. One day, on his way back to Ruby's from work, Hunter got a call from Cameron. Hunter, it's Sierra. She says she'll sign whatever you want, no questions asked. But, you must talk to her. Hunter thought it over. He didn't really need Sierra's cooperation. He could crush her in the divorce, and his threats weren't empty. But he realized he just wanted her out of his life, completely. He wanted to start fresh with Ruby. The love he thought he'd lost long ago, it was still there. Still in his 30s, he wanted to spend that time with someone who loved and respected him. And he wanted to do it right. Okay, Cameron, let me know when and where to meet her. The next day Hunter met with Cameron in his office. Sierra and her lawyer were ready to sign the papers. Despite her lawyer's objections, she agreed to sign if she could speak to Hunter first. Once the lawyers left the room, Sierra broke the silence after 2 minutes. I know it doesn't mean much now, but I'm truly sorry. You may not believe it, and I don't blame you, but I do love you. I can't justify what I did to you, or how I let Riley treat you. Hunter looked at her. Was it something I did? Or didn't do? No. God, no, Hunter. This is all on *me. Sierra almost shouted. She then called the lawyers back in and signed the papers. Tears in her eyes, she told Hunter that Riley would stay with her and apologized one last time before walking out of his life for good. 3 months later, Hunter received a call from an unknown number. It was a lawyer asking to meet. They met at Cameron's office. Hello, Mr. James. Thank you for meeting with me. I'm here to inform you that your grandfather, Maxwell Walker, has disinherited your mother based on the events of that night. He instructed me to deliver this message, as he is unable to speak due to his condition. The lawyer paused, then read from a letter. My dear grandson, I'm so sorry I didn't protect you from what you went through. I was angry with your mother, but I had no idea you suffered so much. She kept me from you, and that stopped us from building a stronger bond. I'm leaving you my trust, of $500 million. Use it wisely, to build, rather than destroy. Your mother was once entitled to it, but given recent events, I'm giving you her share as well. I wish we could have gone fishing one last time. Those moments were some of the best of my life, and I thank you for them. I was proud of you the day you wore the same uniform as I did, and the day you provided for what you believed was your family. May this gift help you start a new chapter, with a real family. I love you, Hunter James, and I'm proud of the man you've become. Sincerely, old man. Hunter shed tears. Not because of the money but because someone other than Travis, a blood relative, truly loved him. He had thought his grandfather stopped seeing him because he didn't care, but it was his mother who kept them apart. He shared the news with Ruby, who was happy for him. But then she surprised him. We're getting you a prenup, as soon as possible. She said. If we get married. Hunter was about to respond, but she held up her hand. Hunter, I love you, and I know you love me. But you deserve someone trustworthy and loyal. Let me do this to show you I'm in love with my soulmate, not his wallet. Hunter smiled. Okay, beautiful, but I picked the dinner on our honeymoon. Ruby kissed him. Deal. As time passed, much changed. Hunter's former family was shunned by everyone. People were disgusted by how they treated him and wanted nothing to do with them. Austin lost his job due to the sexual harassment charges and the scandals surrounding his company. Along with the alienation of an affection lawsuit and back pay for child support, He ended up living in a trailer on the outskirts of the city. Sierra faced charges of parental fraud and could have gone to jail, but Hunter spoke on her behalf, his last act of kindness toward her. She was placed on probation and was required to undergo mandatory DNA testing if she became pregnant again. With her funds depleted by court costs and legal fees, she had no choice but to move in with Austin. Riley was never the same after the party. Her friends abandoned her, unable to believe they had befriended someone so cruel. When she realized her biological father didn't love her and had only used her to hurt Hunter, she was crushed. After years of mistreating the man who raised her as his own, she was left devastated. Unable to afford college, she became a dishwasher at the same hotel where her birthday party had been held. She tried to ask Hunter for forgiveness, but he refused to have anything to do with her. Janice was shattered after Hunter's confrontation at the party. No one in the family spoke to her again after Hunter left. Her father slapped her and disowned her for what she did to Hunter. For someone like Janice, who valued image above all else, this was the ultimate blow. She suffered a heart attack in a hotel room, and as Hunter had predicted, the only ones present at her funeral were the priest and the gravedigger. 7 months later, a very pregnant and radiant Ruby walked down the aisle at a small outdoor wedding, surrounded by spring leaves in a gentle breeze. Her white dress, with floral details, perfectly complemented the natural setting. Cameron served as the best man, Matthew was a groomsman, and Laura, Matthew's wife, was a bridesmaid. The wedding wasn't extravagant, but it was exactly what Ruby and Hunter wanted, beautiful and heartfelt. Months later, Hunter welcomed the birth of his twins, Owen and Olivia. Owen had Hunter's nose and Olivia had his eyes. Although Ruby insisted on DNA testing, Hunter already knew they were his. Overwhelmed with emotion, he embraced his wife and children, saying, "My family, I love you so much. Thank you for being in my life." Ruby hugged them all and replied, "Thank you for being you, baby. We love you too, with all our hearts. I'll remind you of that as long as I live." 1 year later, Hunter sat on a bench overlooking their large backyard, watching Ruby play with their dog, Gunter, while Lady lay beside him with Owen and Olivia. Their smiles filled him with warmth. Ruby returned to him and shared a loving kiss. With their combined efforts, the couple expanded their business, opening 3 more stores in the city, while keeping the original one. They rented out their old apartment to new employees at a discounted rate. Hunter's success in the stock market led him to become the owner of his company, with Matthew as the national director, overseeing more sites across the country. As Hunter admired his beautiful wife in her red and black sundress, he thought, "I'm the luckiest man on earth." As Hunter's journey comes to a close, we're left with a powerful reminder that true family isn't defined by blood, but by the love, loyalty, and respect we share. Through the pain of betrayal and the courage to start anew, Hunter finds a happiness he never thought possible. His story teaches us that even in our darkest moments, there's always a chance for redemption and a new beginning. Thank you for joining us on this emotional rollercoaster, where Hunter's pursuit of a real family shows us the strength it takes to reclaim your life and find true happiness.